Alf, what happened with Fanatics Events in 6 short months? It all changed.
Card and put it in the sleeve. You take the card and put it in the sleeve. You take the card and put it in the sleeve.
What's going on, sports card hobby family? It's another day. It's another sports card video back again. Hope everyone is having an amazing time. When this video drops, I'm actually going to be in New Orleans. Hoping, please, that the Saints can get past the Jameis Winston, an old Saint, led Browns. We will see how it goes. Huge thanks to today's video sponsor, DC Sports 87. You want to sell on eBay, but you don't want to do all the shipping and the packing for individual cards, individual listings. It takes forever. It takes a lot of time. It's a lot of effort. So for me, I send a lot of stuff off to DC Sports 87. It's just very easy payouts, very seamless. Check them out, DC Sports 87. Also, we're talking about events today. A special event coming up in my backyard, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, the Air Show 23 Collectors Convention. Michael Jordan focused show. Very unique. I don't think there's another one in the country that is just Michael Jordan, memorabilia, cards, all the rest of the stuff. Reach out to me if you want more information. I'll send you the links if you want to exhibit or to attend Chapel Hill, North Carolina. We also only have a few days left for Hakes auctions, all sorts of wickedness, pop culture, sports cards, all the awesome stuff. So make sure to check out Hakes auctions immediately. All right, so our boy Nick over at Sports Card Madness broke the news yesterday. Now I'm in the future, in the past, back to the future. He broke the news that it sounds like Fanatics Events, Fanatics Fest New York may have lost $10 to $13 million. It might sound like a lot of money, but I remember Michael Rubin going into this event. He flat out said, we're going to lose money on this event. Now, maybe he thought they would lose $1 million, maybe it was 5, maybe he thought it was 20, but it was actually 10 in good news. We don't really know. And frankly, this guy is worth, I think, 10 or 11 billion dollars, so this is a drop in the bucket. But what I will tell you is even wealthy people, very wealthy people, they do care about these things. They're not excited to lose $10 million if that's what it was on a particular event. But again, going in, they knew they were going to lose money. This was an idea, kind of like, hey, look, we're trying to bring sports fans and collectors together. Maybe they got some post-show data and they didn't see enough from it. I don't really know. Obviously, there's a lot of speculation, a lot of kind of what's going on. But ever since that show, we have the Pittsburgh Pirates show that was supposed to be kind of like a fan event sports card show that was going to be at Pirate Stadium, canceled. The big Orlando card show, which also happened to be, I believe, the same date as the Dallas card show that just like a week ago, that one was canceled as well. And that one was a big one because you have vendors that had booked to travel and all that stuff. I don't know if they were, if that was reconciled, they were reimbursed. I don't know how that went down. I mean, I'm sure their table costs and everything were reimbursed, but I mean, flights, hotels, if you don't have a refund policy on that stuff, that's a lot of money out for a dealer. Nick also mentioned recently there was layoffs at Fanatics Events where some of the people announced on IG. And so you're putting all this together and you're trying to figure out what changed over the last 6-7 months. Now, again, I've said this in previous videos, but going back maybe, 13, 14 years, I worked for a company that put on investment shows, put on investment conferences, investment shows. And I was in charge to sell exhibit space along with a whole sales team, exhibit space and sponsorships and workshops and talks and all that sort of thing. That was a really fun job, really, really fun sales job, going way back in time when I was just a kid. One thing that I can say, our events are planned and negotiated years in advance. You commit to multiple years. That's why when people are like, how come the National is in Atlantic City? Well, the National being in Atlantic City a couple years ago, that was probably negotiated 5 years before that or 3 years before that. Or maybe that was like, who knows? There was some sort of a deal that was made there to make that happen. The whole thing with it being in Chicago at Rosemont, we're opting to commit year over year. Hey, we're going to be here for the next year, 2 years, 3 years. And the Rosemont Center can count on that and they can, we can slot that in. And this is a proven entity. The National's been there a long time. The event space, you're playing the long game. You're not really playing the short game with it. And Fanatics has all sorts of money to throw around to do this, but I guess in part I'm kind of wondering why the rush when we go back to kind of May when this was announced. Because remember, this is May of 2024 when Fanatics Fest New York was announced. May of 2024. I'm going to guess let's just say they started planning in January of 2024. I'm speculating. I don't know when they hired everybody and all that stuff and really started talking seriously about it. But it doesn't give a whole lot of time to get everything in place, to kind of get the planning in place. I almost feel like you probably need a year of just kind of planning and getting kind of the conference spaces figured out. And also though too, I feel like if you're going to go into that, you have to be pretty convicted that this is something that you really want to do over time, And so again, I'm confused at the strategy and how this went down. Because look, also Fanatics is not this is not a startup business. They're a huge company, and Fanatics has done events. Fanatics has done events outside of the collectible stuff. Think about like apparel and everything else. They've set up booths, they've done exhibit space, they've done all this sort of thing. So they're not brand new to shows. Now, maybe they're new to actually putting on their own events and that sort of a thing. But again, it's just strange to me kind of how the whole thing was formulated. My understanding is they were going to do 3 types of shows. They're going to do the sports fan meets the collectibles stuff. That's what Fan Fest was in New York. And then the second one is a fan experience. You're at the baseball stadium, you get to meet some Pirates players, and it's kind of what do they call it? An interactive, what do they call that thing? They had like a whole name for it, engagements or something like that. Anyway. And then the third one was going to be like more of a traditional card show in Orlando. They run through those 3, they go ahead and do those 3, and then they figure out what do people like, what do they not like, and then they go from there. Okay, we're doubling down on just the card show. Like the Orlando card show did really good. We're going to double down on that. All right, in New York, it was good, but we spent a lot of money. We spent too much money on bringing people in, athletes or celebrities or whatever it was. Let's cut that back and maybe just kind of rework it a little bit. And then the thing at the baseball stadium, that was really cool too. Let's do it at Brave Stadium next year or something. Switch it up, and we can tweak these things here and there. That's how I heard that this was going to go. So you do 3 shows, and then you as a trial for this year. But the thing is that they didn't get through the trial, which is then it's kind of like, okay, did they just say, you know what? Screw it. Like maybe we just don't need to do live events. Like maybe we need to move away from live events. And I guess the answers are all going to come for us here soon in 2025. Are they still going to do New York? Are they going to do something different? Like maybe instead of doing those 3 shows, they've got a whole different idea that they're going to do for Fanatics events. Or are they just going to do 3 of the fan events? Those Fanatics New York events, are they going to do like maybe 3 smaller versions of that? Do a couple of those a year or 3 of those a year, something along those lines. I'm just so curious because it's just been a very confusing last 7-8 months when the hobby is looking at Fanatics as being the industry leader. You have a Fanatics that's coming in here. Okay, we bought an auction house in PWCC. They were looking into grading. And frankly, I'm speculating here. I think a lot of collectors buying SGC had to do with Fanatics eyeballing SGC. I'm almost positive on that. I find it just shocking to think that they did not also make a call in SGC to figure out kind of the ins and outs of it. Or maybe collectors got a whiff of it or they wanted to get ahead of it, so they got ahead of it with SGC. I'm speculating. I don't have any sort of inside information there. And then they also got into manufacturing, obviously. They've got the licenses, they've got all that stuff. So they're trying to form this, Fanatics Collectibles is its own thing. You've got Fanatics Apparel, and you've got, Fanatics Bedding, and you've got Fanatics Collectibles. So they're making just a big old business out of this thing. But on the collectibles side, it's really interesting. It's almost been a little bit quiet, or maybe I'm missing it. Maybe I'm totally missing it. The last big thing I heard from Fanatics, just kind of marketing wise, was Topps Mercury. The Topps Mercury release, and that came with mixed reviews back. Some people thought it was really cool. Some people thought it was cheesy. Some people thought why are we putting out, an $8,000 box of Wemby cards? And I know I think Wemby dropped a 50-point game. I just saw an ad for a Topps Now Wemby 50 card, celebrating that 50-point game, his first 50-point game or whatever it was. Topps Now, look, I think, and Nick had said this in another video, Sports Card Madness, but Topps Now is the moneymaker, man. Topps Now has got to be the greatest thing because you just set it up. What do they say? Okay, we're going to sell this for 3 days. However many sell, we print to order basically. So they don't have to print 10 million cards and, oh man, we can't sell 5 million of them. This is literally we put this up for sale and we sold 552,111 cards. So print that many. It's beautiful. It's got to be beautiful for those guys over there. But where does Fanatics Events go from here? The whole thing feels a little discombobulated. Are all the sides talking to each other? What's going to happen in 2025? Or are they just regrouping? Or is this literally they're just hey, you know what? We're tweaking some things and we'll be back with Fanatics Events in 2025. Could very well be. It's interesting stuff is going on right now and we are following it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, my friends. Stay healthy. Stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.